Hello, Shalom. I'm so glad you're with me again, ready to travel to another Jewish story, the story of Purim. Purim. This story does not come from the Torah scroll, but it comes from the scroll of its own, the scroll of Esther, Megillat Esther. This scroll only has one story, the story of Purim. I want to start with the question. Have you ever had to hide an important part of who you are? Have you ever had to be brave enough to speak up for what you think is right? If you want to think about it and answer these questions now, you can pause the video and do that. Or you can think about it and talk about it after the story. So here is our story. Long ago, the Jews lived in the ancient kingdom of Persia. Now, it's the country of Iran. This is Esther, a young Jewish woman. This is Mordecai, her uncle. Mordecai had looked after Esther since she was born. This is the king of Persia, King Ahasuerus. He was a proud king who ruled over all of Persia. Here is his palace in the city of Shushan. Here are the king's rooms in the palace, where the king had great parties. One day at a party, the king decided to show off his queen, Queen Vashti, and ordered her to come wearing the royal crown. Vashti was having her own party in her rooms. When the king's advisors came to get her, she said no. She would not go to show off. The king was very angry and asked his helpers what he should do. The advisors were worried. If the queen will not do what the king says, maybe all the women will think they can make up their own minds. They told the king to send Vashti away and choose a new queen. And that is what he did. The king decided to find a new queen from among the women in his kingdom. Many women were brought to the palace to meet the king, including Esther. The king loved Esther the best of all the women, and she became his new queen. Here are Esther's rooms in the palace. Esther had a secret. She did not tell King Ahasuerus that she was Jewish. Haman was the king's advisor and minister. He gave advice to the king. He was proud of himself and looked down on everyone in the kingdom. Every day, Haman went out among the people of Shushan, expecting them to bow down before him. But one man refused to bow. It was Mordecai the Jew. Jewish people do not bow down to other people. We only bow down to God when we pray, Mordecai said. Haman was furious. He came to see the king. He was so angry. He asked the king that he be allowed to send all the Jews in the kingdom away, since Mordecai would not bow to him as the king's minister. He offered to pay the king a lot of money, and the king said yes to Haman. Haman drew lots, called Purim in Hebrew, in order to decide what would be the best day to send the Jewish people out of their homes, out of Persia. The day was to be the 13th of the month of Adar. Mordecai found out about Haman's plan to send away all the Jews of Persia. Mordecai didn't eat anything. He put the sackcloth on to show how sad and scared he was. Mordecai sent a message to Queen Esther, telling her that she must beg the king for the life of her people, the Jews. She needed to be brave and speak up. Perhaps she had become queen just to help the Jews in this sad and scary time, just to save them. Queen Esther was afraid. It was the law that anyone who entered the king's rooms without being called would be punished unless the king welcomed them. Esther told all the Jews in Persia to pray for her and not eat for 3 days, and she did the same. She got up the courage and said, "I shall go to the king. I'll save my people." At the end of 3 days, she put on her best dress and went to the king. The king welcomed her. He was so happy to see her that he told her that he would give her anything she wanted. Esther invited King Ahasuerus to a party that night in her rooms. She asked him to bring Haman with him. At the party, Esther asked the king and Haman to come to another party the next day. Haman was so proud and so happy and pleased that he was invited to the queen's party in her rooms. At the end of the second party, when the king Ahasuerus asked Queen Esther and promised to give her whatever she wanted, Esther fell down in front of him and said, "Your Majesty, please save the life of my people and save my life." She told the king she was a Jew. She said Haman intends to send all the Jewish people away from Persia. The king was furious. He ordered Haman and his family to be sent away instead of the Jewish people. The king appointed Mordecai, his new minister, his new advisor, in place of Haman. On the 13th day of the month of Adar, the Jews were saved because of the courage of Queen Esther. Esther and Mordecai created the holiday of Purim that we celebrate every year to remember the day. I hope you enjoyed the story. Now it's time for wondering questions. I wonder, who you think was brave in this story? I wonder what part of the story you think was the most important one. I wonder where you are in the story, or what part of the story was about you. I wonder what part of the story made you feel sad or scared. I also wonder what part made you feel happy or excited. Share your wonderings, and I'll see you next time. Shalom ולהתראות. Happy Purim, Hag Purim Sameach.